I guess I never knew what that term classical educator, well, like what it means, like classical education. So would that apply? So basically what I heard you say was that you keep the theme going throughout their whole childhood, but you just get more and more complexity as they get older.
Yep.
So you start off with something simple. Is that not how we learn math, for example? Like
Exactly how you learn math.
so math is still being taught in that way?
Well, they've ruined math because they have the new math.
What's new math?
It's this crazy way that they're making you add and subtract, and it's this Korean math formula, and you have to do it this exact way. And if you don't show your work, you get it wrong. Well, for me, my brain works super fast, and I'm not trying to be narcissistic or anything. My brain just works fast. So growing up, I didn't show all my work because I'm 20 steps ahead. My brain just like, boom, boom, boom. I can look at numbers and really quickly figure it out. So I had a hard time showing all of my work. I didn't get marked down on it because I got the correct answer. They could kind of see my reasoning, and if the teacher was curious, they would ask me to solve the problem and talk through it with them.
But I think maybe depends on which level of math we're talking about, but I remember like showing my work from algebra in 7th grade all the way to AP calculus in my 11th grade. Showing your work was like the main thing. It wasn't even about the answer. Like I sucked at calculus. I somehow got into AP calculus and I passed the exam, so I didn't have to do math in college, and I loved it. But like, I never got the answer right. But I passed because I knew how to follow the steps that they wanted me to follow. Are you saying that's not a good thing?
At a certain complexity, but even in my algebra classes, I skip steps because my brain can do it, I can do it in my head.
Yeah, like what's the square root of something? It's easy. I don't need to write that down.
Like the formula, or the quadratic formula, I could do part of it, and I didn't get marked down for that. And I never took calculus. I don't want to bother. I went into, I loved chemistry. I was in college level chemistry in high school. So I kind of went that route. I can do math. It just didn't interest me. I'd rather go read, Shakespeare or Jane Austen. That's what I loved.
Right. So when did this kind of change start as far as, because like, it sounds like, I'm not sure if what you're talking about, because it sounds like you're about 20 years older than me. So obviously a lot changes in the world in that amount of time. And then I'm 20 years older than my kid. I'm 30 years older than my kids. Right. So the world they're going into is obviously the education world they're going into is obviously going to be very different than the one I was in. Yeah. But I'm just curious if there's even an answer to this. Like, when did this all start shifting? Because I'm wondering how much of the good stuff I got and how much of the, ruined psyop stuff I got.
Really complex. This is an answer I was looking for when I was getting my doctorate in education. Every class I was in was all about diversity. They were more concerned about gender and skin color, and I don't care. My dissertation was on intellectual diversity in higher ed. I used Ayn Rand as my measuring stick on that because they made me use critical race theory. And so I kind of gave them a big middle finger and said, okay, I'll use your critical theory. I'm going to turn it on its head. I'm going to use Ayn Rand as my measuring stick and look at intellectual diversity and ideas, because that's why we're here. I don't care about the other stuff. Like, it doesn't matter to me who you love. It doesn't matter to me what you look like on the outside. And that's just how I grew up. And so I was really, for the first time in my life, I was the rabble rouser in school, because I'm the first, I'm Hermione. I'm in the front row raising my hand every time. And it was the first time that I was the one causing the strife in class. And I got some crazy satisfaction out of it because the system was so broken. And that's when I knew I just had to walk away. So I kind of just got lost on my tangent there. Sorry.
It's okay. Well, unless you have somewhere you want to go. Yeah, no. So we were talking about.
Oh, yeah. Where it broke down.
The transformations. Yeah. What did it break down?
I studied, and I kept on having to go back further and further and further and further. So I was like, okay, so maybe it was in the 1960s with Johnson, with the ESCA, the first time the government really got involved in handing out money for schools to control them. No, let's go back. Okay, then we have John Dewey. Okay, no, let's go back. It's Horace Mann in the 1850s. So we can go back to him, where he brings in this Prussian idea. But in the modern world, in the 90s, there was a South American theorist, Paulo Freire, who said that schools need to be places where children learn to be activists. And you have a massive shift. And if you look at how things really shift, and you start seeing in postmodernism, more of those kind of critical theories where, feminist theory, queer theory, they then go into where everything is oppressor or oppressed. He pushed for that, and it spread like wildfire.
Really?
And you can see a massive shift as a result of that in educators first, and then the curriculum. And since I would say within 10, 15 years, it just spread like wildfire. And so the teachers' colleges latched onto it, all disciplines. And now, pre-Trump, I guess, this term, I don't know what's going to happen with like the National Science Foundation. They're funding studies to look at the white masculine power in physics. That's the crap that it's our taxpayers as Americans. And I still pay taxes.
What does that even mean?
Exactly. Or all those dead white guys that I celebrate as heroes from Western Civ, they'll like the National Endowment for Humanities is pouring money to destroy anything of the greatness of Western Civ. And that's why, going back to what I said earlier about nihilism, that's why I say that culture is nihilistic, because they don't want to just like lift up their own ideas. They want to tear everything around them down. They're more interested in tearing down than lifting up. And that's nihilism.